What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I hope you like this video. This is your review for Chasing LA season 1 episode. I don't know what are we on, episode 5? I think episode 5. So we start this episode where we left off. We have Alicia and Jayla having their pamper day, their spa day, and they got to talking about some of the other people. They were talking about because Andre. Now this one I was a little confused. I feel like it was Andre and Ian's event, or it was Ian's event and Andre was the co-host, or vice versa. Either way, they were having this event. It was the lovers and something Halloween, Valentine's Day event, whatever. I shouldn't say whatever. I don't mean it like that. I mean that was the theme. I just don't remember the whole theme. But it was Valentine's Day. It was about love. Okay, it was supposed to be about love. And so Jayla was asking, Alicia, are you going? And well, what's the deal with you and Andre? And Alicia was like, listen, I don't know nothing. Like, I don't even know him. Alicia hit them with the Mariah Carey. I don't know her. I don't know him. They talked about Ian, and she was saying, listen, I was not trying to misgender or be disrespectful. If he is non-binary, then he needs to let people know that so people can respect his pronouns and respect how he wants to be addressed. When I said something to him about being a gay man and he told me he wasn't and got upset, I asked him, well, then what do you identify as? Like, you need to let me know. That is a valid point. I said that in my review. Boom. They also were talking about Ian. Jayla was letting them know that she had heard about this new guy, Ian, and he seems to have something to say about them and know a lot about them, but she don't know a lot about him and what he was given. So they were talking about going. So they going to the event, and they seem to really be kind of bonding and becoming working on a friendship. Jada said something at the end about her needing to get a gun. I was like, where'd that come from? I feel like that might have been like a longer conversation that was edited down, and I don't know, but okay. So then we meet up with Andre. He's on set, and I guess whatever he's working on, Amina Butterfly's there, and April Jones from Love and Hip Hop, from the Love and Hip Hop franchise. I feel like this scene was so that we would know that he works with these people, because basically he was talking to them about, I'm with this new group of people I know you're used to dealing with, like a group of women, like what would you suggest, how do I get along with them? And they basically told him the same thing that the other guy told him in that first episode, be yourself, whatever. But cool, glad to see you working. As always, I'm gonna always give props in that area, and it looks like you working, you doing some things, and I'm here for it, okay? Then we got this great scene with Quan. It was a long scene, but it was a needed scene. See, sometimes when it's a long scene, but you getting something, I'm fine with it. And so Quan is a spoken word artist. He's a poet, and he said that, he's gotten, he's won some awards and done slams and things like that. He talked about his teacher encouraged him to start writing poetry, and we got a chance to hear him perform 2 pieces. Both of them were very powerful. Quan, I don't know if you watched my reviews, but if anybody who watched my reviews, let Quan know. I was very, very moved, impressed, and by what you were given. I'm glad that they kept that in there. The first piece that he performed was it was similar to like a rose growing out of concrete, that mindset, and he's telling you his story, which is very heartbreaking. I mean, heartbreaking. He talked about his home life and being molested and being put out on the street when he came out the closet, and all of those struggles. And so but it was good. He talked about that toxic Christian church mentality when it comes to LGBTQ. And then the second piece was, again, just as powerful, I felt, dealing with Black Lives Matter as it relates to the Gay Lives Matter, and how the gay community was there and supporting and saying everybody's name, but when it's time to stand with the LGBTQIA community, ain't nobody around. And he said the names of some trans men and women who have been murdered And he said, say their name just like we say, George and Brianna and Sandra and Trayvon, powerful. So that was definitely a great moment, and I was here for it. Then we had another powerful moment, a back-to-back powerful moment. We have Hershey LaCour, who, shout out, we will be interviewing Hershey LaCour on Abby Reviews channel tomorrow at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So please join us. Abby Reviews, her YouTube channel is just the way it sounds. EBBIEREVIEWS, Abby Reviews. Please join us over there. So Quan and Jayla meet up over Hershey LaCour. Now Quan walks in the door being shady, and Hershey was like, "See, this is what I'm talking about. That's why I don't be around these women like that. I don't mean women, people. That's why I didn't be hanging, because I was trying not to say hoes, and I said women, but I should have just said people." But Hershey was like, Quan walking the door started talking about Alicia. And, Hershey was like, well, I thought that y'all had cleared that up. Like, I thought y'all had worked. Well, I mean, I just felt like her apology wasn't sincere. And, I'm the kind of person that once you on my bad side, you just on my bad side. And so, Hershey was like, so you just ain't gonna never, you just gonna be mad at her forever. Like, you ain't gonna never get past it. You just never. And he was like, I mean, I'm just saying, it's just hard for me. It's hard for me. Once you on my bad side, that's just it. Anyway, so Jayla shows up and they get to talking, and they were talking about the year. Jayla's talking about that she's getting ready to relocate to Vegas because financially, it's been a hard year for her. She lost her job. She's living off her savings, and that she just felt like her money can go further in LA. And so she was talking about that. Quan, he said, thank God that, I did keep my job, but, it's been a rough year. For everybody it has been. But then Hershey starts talking about, which we learned a little bit about this already, that before the pandemic, he had a good job and he was doing drag. He just bought himself a new car. Life was good. And then literally like overnight it all happened. His hours got cut at work to the point where I think he said he's not working at all now. And then we know all the clubs closed, so there was no more drag. And so, he said things were just really, really hard. And so his drag mother convinced him to go. She's the organization that his drag mother worked for was giving $50 gift cards for people to go get tested. And, Hershey was like, shoot, I was just trying to get that little $50 gift card. Went to go get tested, and his test results came back HIV positive. And so he was like, 2020's just been a fucked up year, and he went on to talk about how, he had been sexually assaulted, and his first instinct was to just blame, the person that assaulted him. He said, but if I'm being fair and honest with myself, I have not been as diligent as I should have been in reference to, having safe sex and being mindful and getting tested regularly. He said that the doctor told them, because now they can tell you how long you've had it, and he's had it for 3 years. So that means that you're not getting tested regularly, which he said, I'm not beating you up about it, but he said, he said, well, what scares him the most is that he felt fine. Like, he felt fine. And so, he's working with the doctors to do what he has to do to get his numbers down. So, he can get into that undetectable range. And, but it's been a lot. I mean, and it was an emotional conversation. I can appreciate that Jayla and Quan were there. They were not judging, they were very compassionate. He said that his boyfriend stuck with him, and I can appreciate that too. That's that love, girl. That's that love thing. And so thank God, thank you for sharing your story. I think a lot of people, if they're being honest with themselves, they aren't being as diligent as they once were. He talked about how even the community looks at HIV positive gay men, and how the comments that they make and the things that they say. And, it made me think of, YouTube. When people get to going back and forth, look, it's a whole segment y'all probably may or may not know about, where people, and when they get to going back and forth, and if, they know that you're HIV positive, that's the first thing out their mouth, And I just, your health status shouldn't be a read. Like, it shouldn't be something that people use as a weapon against you or to weaponize against you. And I see that that's not something that's just unique to what I've seen. That's something that seems to be an ongoing thing in the community. So, um, but thank you for being open. I look forward to having a conversation with you on Friday, tomorrow, and we can dig a little deeper and find out, where Hershey is now, how things are going now. Now that the world is starting to open up a little bit more and things like that. Then we get to the party. We get to the party. Um, all right, I'm gonna just start here. King Payne was the first person to show up. King Payne walks in the door, and what song is playing? Missy Elliott, I Can't Stand the Rain. Andre wants to act innocent, like, oh my gosh, I know it looks shady, but I'm telling you, it wasn't done intentionally. It wasn't done on purpose. Now, from what I could see, King Payne walked in there like, oh, these hoes got problems, got jokes. Oh, they got jokes, right? But I didn't see where he was nasty or cussing or going off. Next thing I know, Andre is like, well, I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. Well, you can leave. You can just leave. And he proceeds to walk over to the door and open the door like he gonna put King Payne out. Now, here's what I thought was hilarious. King Payne was like, I don't see no security, so I'm not going nowhere. I'm not. Jeremy shows up, and Jeremy is like, damn, I ain't been here 5 minutes, and they already arguing. Like, what the fuck? But let me say this, Andre. There is no universe where you get the benefit of the doubt on that. None. None. Love me some Missy Elliott, but I Can't Stand the Rain is 20 years old. Their best case scenario, Andre, that I'm going to give you is if you said to me, I'm creating a playlist. I created a playlist. And because of the whole shadiness that went down on that first night at Down to the Long Beach, I put I Can't Stand the Rain on the playlist. So that at some point during the night, I knew the song was going to play. I thought it would be a good kiki. We could laugh about it. Yada, yada, yada. Coincidentally, King Payne walked in when the song was playing. That's the best case scenario that I'm going to give you. But what you are not going to do is play with my intelligence and everybody else's intelligence and say that you just randomly, out of nowhere, coincidentally, coinky dinky, King Payne is walking in the door and that song is playing. It's no way in hell. There's nothing you can say to me to convince me that that wasn't on purpose. Like I said, best case scenario is that you put it on the playlist to be shady. You didn't realize it was going to be that it was going to be playing as soon as King Payne walked in the door. That's the best case scenario. That's it. That's all. But sir, for you to get indignant and get an attitude and act like King Payne is wrong for feeling like it was on purpose, come on, stop it. And he talking about something, I know it looks shady, but no, it was shady. And I feel like if you had laughed and said, King Payne, it's just a joke. I brought you here so we can, bury the hatchet. But I had to get one last little gag in on you. I feel like King Payne would have probably been like, okay, bitch. And it would have been like, that would have been it. I didn't feel like King Payne was ready to cuss you out and drop kick you. Unless it was edited and that's all I saw. So anyway, then it turns into a whole argument. Now you got Ian, who is cool with Andre, defending Andre, acting like it's not a big deal. Sir, you wasn't there that first night, and so you may or may not be privy to how that whole situation went down. Maybe you got the feedback, maybe you heard Andre's version, but it was shady. Andre, so Jeremy said that he showed up because something went down where Quan told him that D Hawkins made a comment about how he ain't never gonna be invited to one of his events, and that's why he wasn't invited to the studio. And so Jeremy was like, well, I'm here, really for real, I've had a long day and I'm tired, but for real, I'm only here to address D Hawkins, and I'm going to basically spray my own tea. So I don't know what happened. I don't know what it was. We ain't get there yet. Okay, that's in part 2 next week. So I don't even know what happened with Jeremy and D Hawkins. So we got Andre outside talking to Jeremy, and Hershey LaCour walks up. Hershey is in full geek because Hershey was like, listen, where the hell else am I wearing it? Because all the drag bars are closed. So I might as well go ahead and introduce everybody to, Mother Hershey LaCour, okay? So Hershey comes in full geek, and of course Hershey gets there and she like, God damn. They arguing. For real. Jayla and Alicia show up looking cute. And the first thing that Andre does is apologizes to Alicia and lets Alicia know, listen, I'm sorry if I came off some kind of way. That was never my intention. And vice versa, Alicia apologizes to him. And so they move forward. So at least somebody made up, damn it. Somebody made up. So then they go back in the house. I mean, it wasn't a house. It was like a storefront situation. So then they go back inside, and Ian and Andre go off in the back, and they basically talking shit about the people inside at the party, talking about, I'm tired of this and I'm tired of that. And because when Jayla met up with Ian, Jayla was like, oh, you nicer than I thought you were. Why would you say that? I don't care what you heard about the person before they got there. Why would that be the first thing out your mouth? Oh, you nicer than I thought you were going to be. And he felt some kind of way about it. So he's talking to Andre about it. And yes, he felt some kind of way about it. Now, his was funny. His was interesting and his was funny. He talking to Andre about, well, why would she say that to me? And who this? And Andre talking about because they've been talking trash about you. They've been talking trash about you. Sir, Jayla heard about you through D Hawkins, who was speaking on first-hand experience because you were asking him all them questions about who all these people were and things that you heard about them when y'all was down to the photo shoot last week. Nobody's been gossiping about you, sir. D Hawkins went back to Jayla and was like, yeah, Ian was asking me questions about you. It seemed like he know everything about what's going on in the group and stuff like that. It wasn't like they had no whole big powwow about you. You did it, sir. So then they end up going back in with the group and they're going to play this game. So it sounds like it's a cute game. It's an interesting concept of the game. You got to ask, it's sort of like a twist on truth or dare. You ask a question. You pull a question out, and if you don't want to answer it, you can give it to somebody else. There's a shot there. If you don't want to take the shot, then you can pass it to somebody else. And so they get ready to start playing the game, and here goes Jayla messy ass. Well, wait a minute. Hold on. I just feel like it's some tension. What happened before we got here? Because I just feel like it's some tension in the air. And so all of them was like, girl, let it go. We started a game. We have moved forward. Let it go. And she's just really sitting there like, what happened? Tell me what happened before I got here. Girl, if you don't go sit down somewhere. So then, of course, now the argument gets started back up and they sort of bring it down. So then the question, Alicia gets the question, and the question is about, Fran gets the question, and the question is about why is it important to respect people's use people's correct pronouns. He gonna pass the question to Alicia, and Alicia was like, I caught the shade. But let me say this. I'm gonna answer the question, but let me say this. It is also important to let people know what your pronouns are. Because if you don't tell people what your pronouns are, you can't be mad if they don't use the correct pronoun. I was like, oh shit. So then Fran and Alicia sort of get into a little bit of a back and forth or whatever. Jayla jumping in, defending Alicia, because I don't know, I guess the last time Jayla didn't jump in and defend Alicia, and now her and Alicia cool. So she sort of kind of jumped in and she sort of kind of defended Alicia. So then they get to arguing, and Andre gets upset, and he starts yelling, talking about some. No, first of all, he told anybody who didn't want to play the game that they could leave and he wouldn't miss them. But anyway. So he gets up and starts screaming and hollering about how y'all don't listen to each other, and this is the problem now. Y'all don't listen to each other. Y'all not respecting each other, and I'm sick of y'all. I'm sick of this, and I'm sick of that, and I'm sick of y'all bitches, and I'm sick of this, and I'm sick of that. So then Quan get to arguing, because Quan was like, listen, I'm tired of him always talking about something. He's sick of bitches. He's sick of all these bitches. I'm tired of him always, that be the first thing out his mouth. So Quan gets up like he about to fight. Andre was like, you can leave. Quan ends up getting escorted out of the event, but then Andre was like, well, you know, if you want to fight, we can fight. Like, you getting escorted out, but I'll meet you outside. So now here go Andre running outside, chasing behind Quan like he really want to fight, but he really wasn't trying to fight. Because if he was trying to fight, he wouldn't have been walking. He'd have been running, because Quan wasn't running. Quan was sitting on the other end of that alley like, if you feeling froggy, jump, bitch. Like, so if you really wanted to fight Andre, you could have fought. You wasn't trying to fight. You was really trying to put on a show. You was really trying to perform. Because if you really wanted that smoke from Quan, Quan was ready. Quan was right there, waiting for you. So you ain't really want that smoke. And that's pretty much how the episode ended. So y'all tell me what y'all think. Drop it in the comments, please.